Elsa, the past is not what it seems.
Ha! I told you guys. Okay, so for some reason, it seemed like every large company in existence decided to release all their trailers for the most anticipated projects on the same day. I mean, we got Disney and Nintendo basically waving their arms and saying, look at me, and fighting over the top trending spots on Twitter. So along with Banjo being announced for Smash and the announcement of Breath of the Wild 2, we also had the second trailer to Frozen 2 and the first trailer for their new show, The Owl House. And while I am going to be talking about The Owl House in a separate video, this video right here is the breakdown for the new Frozen 2 trailer. For those of you who don't know or haven't seen it, I do have a trailer analysis and theory video that I made for it when the movie was first announced. I am going to be referencing a theory that I covered in that video, so I suggest watching it before delving into this one. With that said, let's just jump right into analyzing the second trailer. So wow, there is a lot to unpack here. Just like in the first trailer, there's a lot of action scenes going on that hint that this movie may be a bit darker than the first as far as subject material goes. It really seems like where the first movie was focused on Anna, this movie is going to be focused on Elsa and the discovery and the origin of her powers. This trailer extends off the first, showing us what happens once Elsa falls into the ocean. She's greeted by a horse-like water spirit that's called the Nokk. After doing a bit of research, I discovered a few things. First, we know that Arendelle is based off the Norwegian town of Arendal, so this allows us to narrow down what type of folklore that this movie would be referencing. More specifically, we're looking into Norse mythology and Scandinavian folklore. With that in mind, I was able to find something that lined up perfectly with what we saw in the trailer. In Scandinavian folklore, there's a mythological creature called the Bakahast, otherwise known as the brook horse, which takes the form of a white horse. It is said to appear near rivers, usually during foggy weather. If someone climbs onto its back, it's said that the rider cannot get off, and eventually the brook horse will dive into the river and drown the rider. Now, obviously, like with most fairy tales and folklore, this is a bit dark for a Disney movie, so it comes as no surprise that Disney will likely only reference this mythical creature and take inspiration from it, changing it up similarly to how they did with The Little Mermaid. Thankfully though, we already have an idea of what they're changing and what they're keeping from this tale, as the description of the Frozen version of this creature is actually out. The description reads as such: the mythical water spirit, the Nokk, takes the form of a horse with the power of the ocean in charge of a stallion. The Nokk is a fierce warrior that guards the secrets of the forest fiercely. In order to get past the Nokk, a person must prove they are worthy and earn its respect. An almost impossible task. Something that I found interesting about the Frozen description of the Nokk is that they very explicitly state that its trust must be gained in order to find the secrets of the forest. And then they go on to mention that it is a very difficult task to achieve. In Scandinavian folklore, it's very explicitly mentioned that it is possible to harness the brook horse and force it to plow, but only if you trick it or if it was caught trying to trick a person into drowning. There's obvious parallels to this original folklore story and the description of the Frozen Nokk, both describing it as a creature that is dangerous and hard to either trick or gain the trust of. The inclusion of the Nokk actually complicates the first movie as well, considering that in both iterations, it's known to drown people. We see in the trailer that it's attempting to drown Elsa, and it's also the biggest thing about it in the original folklore story. This makes the shipwreck scene from the first movie all the more curious, supporting the theory that Elsa's parents are either alive or were maliciously killed by another element-controlling being. But before we continue on that thought, however, I do need to say something here. In my last video, there were so many people commenting, well duh, they survived the shipwreck. It was confirmed that Elsa and Anna's parents are also Tarzan's parents. While that is indeed an interesting theory, it is not a confirmed one. It was actually a quote taken out of context from an interview with MTV and Frozen's director, Chris Buck. While he told his tale of what the story in his head was, he very explicitly stated, and I quote, "That's my fun little world," and then went on to say, "I say whatever people want to believe, go for it. If you want to tie them in all together, then do it. That's the spirit of Disney." So yeah, while an interesting theory, it's not a canonically confirmed one. If you want to read into it yourself, I'll link the actual article from MTV below. I know I derailed a bit, but I thought it was important to point it out given the context of the rest of this video and the reaction to my last video covering this topic. Anyways, back to what I was saying before. In my previous video on this movie, I talked about how I was pretty sure that the fate of Elsa and Anna's parents wasn't as black and white as the first movie originally had you believing. While we have Elsa who can control the ice and snow, we also see in the first trailer and in this trailer that there seems to be other element controlling beings that can control autumn-like weather, or in this case, the ocean and tempest. I think it's all a bit too coincidental that they're including the Nokk in this trailer while also having some dialogue from Pabby the troll explaining to Elsa that the past is not what it seems. We know that this iteration of the Nokk isn't trusting and that it has secrets that it's protecting. We also know that King Agnar and Queen Iduna in the past had talked with Pabby about curing Anna from her Elsa-inflicted injury, and that the trolls know more than what they're letting on. Given that information that we know to be accurate, it's only logical to assume that the Nokk is related to the disappearance of Elsa and Anna's parents. If the king and queen were in search of more answers regarding Elsa's powers and how to help her, it's possible that they went in search of the secrets that the Nokk was protecting. From there, we have two possibilities. Either they tried and failed to gain the Nokk's trust and it drowned them and sunk their ship, or they managed to befriend the Nokk and gain its trust and it took them to the secrets that it was protecting. In one of these scenarios, Elsa and Anna's parents are dead, but in the other, they're very much alive and stranded wherever these secrets are being held. Pabby also mentions how they were very much afraid that Elsa's powers may be too much for their world, only further implying that they know more than what they're leading on. Pabby then tells Elsa that she must head north to discover the truth. It's possible that Pabby also sent Elsa's parents on a similar quest, which is what ultimately led to the sinking of their ship. As far as the information that they were searching for, going by the context of this trailer and the last, it really seems like this information was regarding the source and the reason for Elsa's powers. The Nokk hints at having Tempest powers, and we see the purple fire and the fall environment in this trailer as well as in the first. While we were all thinking Elsa may be running into other humans with abilities like her, it's possible that those other beings aren't human at all. The Nokk may be one, just as the two giants in the movie may be elementals as well. In the trailer, we get to see a set of 4 rocks, all with diamond-shaped symbols etched into them. We see that Elsa in this trailer can create them, insinuating that one of those rocks has the ice element on it. That means that there are at least 3 other elements that we will see featured in this movie. In Norse mythology, there is a giant that is the god of fire. His name is Logi, and he is the son of Fornjot. There are also his brothers Aegir and Kari, who are the gods of the sea and wind. Because we've seen 2 giants featured in this trailer, as well as the use of both fire and wind elements, it's possible that this is what these 2 characters are based off of. So where does Elsa tie into all of this if all the other elementals are based off of Norse gods? Well, the Norse ice goddess isn't actually a giant. In fact, her name is Skade, and she was actually married to one of the Norse gods named Njord. She was married to him for compensation of the gods killing her father. However, she and Njord decided to live separately because she loved the mountains and Njord loved the sea. Neither were willing to stay away from the place that they loved being in, and so they mutually agreed to live separately. While I doubt very much that Elsa will be marrying anyone in compensation for her parents being killed off by either a sea god or the Nokk, it's possible that the story may be tying in a different way here. It may be possible that in this movie, Elsa finds that she enjoys living in the North more than she does living in Arendelle and being queen. And it may be that Anna will dislike the North and that she will want to return to Arendelle and leave Elsa behind. While obviously not the same story as in Norse mythology, it still relates to familiar relationships and separation. The more information that we get on this movie, the more and more likely it seems that this is what the case will be. It seems like Elsa's fate will be coming to a climax in this movie, determining what the role for the rest of her life will be. She obviously has some sort of important destiny that's tied in with both the Nokk as well as the 2 giants introduced in this trailer. And much like with the tale of the Brook Horse, once she is on the ride of fate, she may not be able to get off. While the Brook Horse traps its victims and makes them unable to get off its back, it's also possible that the Nokk will have some symbolism in relation to that. Once Elsa proves herself and gains the trust of this creature, it's possible that she will never be able to return to her title as Queen of Arendelle. Whatever her fate has in store for her and her powers, from that point forward, it may be irreversible. She may be destined to stay wherever her adventure takes her, making Anna the new queen and Kristoff the new king of Arendelle to take Elsa's place. But of course, this is all just a theory. We won't actually know what's going on until November 22nd of this year, which is when the movie actually releases. That being said, I'd love to know your thoughts. Do you think that the Nokk is responsible for the disappearance of Elsa and Anna's parents, or do you think it was something else? Let me know in the comments below or over on my Twitter. And if you like videos like this and want more Frozen 2 content in the future, be sure to subscribe and hit that bell icon to be notified of when I upload. And with that, I hope to see you all in the next video. Have an amazing day, everyone.